Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is really great to have you with us today.
Glad to be here.
You know, we all pay for insurance, assuming it's this like invisible, perfectly reliable safety net.
Right.
You pay your premium month after month, year after year, and you naturally think, well, if the worst happens, I'm caught.
Yeah.
If a storm rolls through and tears off the roof, or a pipe bursts while I'm at work, the system works.
It is the fundamental promise of the entire industry, really. You transfer your financial risk to a massive corporation for a monthly fee.
Exactly.
And in exchange, you purchase security. It's a psychological transaction just as much as a financial one.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because what if you finally fall, you hit that net, and suddenly you realize the net has a bouncer?
A bouncer. I like that.
Right, and the bouncer is standing there with a clipboard, actively looking for, like, microscopic reasons why you aren't actually allowed to use the net you've been paying for.
Yeah, that's a very real scenario.
That is the hidden reality we are exploring today. We're diving into the incredibly high-stakes, surprisingly aggressive world of property damage claims.
Yeah.
But we're doing it through a very specific lens.
Our source material today is entirely unconventional. We are analyzing the promotional website and marketing copy of a specific firm,
Yeah.
Alpha Public Insurance Adjusters, based down in Plantation, Florida. We're, decoding their marketing to understand the mechanics of a massive parallel industry.
Which is wild to think about.
It is. Why does an entire profession exist simply to fight insurance companies on behalf of property owners?
Because the baseline assumption for most people is that your insurance company is your partner in recovery.
Yeah.
You call them, they send out an adjuster, and that adjuster calculates the damage so you can get paid.
Right, but what's fascinating here is the core premise Alpha sets out right from the jump.
Yeah.
They draw a massive line in the sand between an insurance company's internal adjuster and a public adjuster.
They really do. Their main slogan perfectly captures that intersection. They promise to lead clients from chaos to compensation.
Think about the underlying mechanics of that initial visit. When, say, a tree falls in your living room, the insurance company dispatches an adjuster to assess the wreckage.
Right.
But that adjuster works for the insurance company. Their paycheck, their annual performance metrics, their promotions, they all tie back to a corporate entity.
A corporate entity that needs to make money.
Exactly. An entity that fundamentally needs to minimize its financial losses to remain profitable. It is a built-in structural conflict of interest.
And that's where Alpha comes in.
Yes, businesses like Alpha are built from the ground up to intercept that dynamic. They are explicitly telling you that relying solely on your insurance company's internal evaluator is a fast track to an undervalued claim.
And Alpha emphasizes that their adjusters are licensed in Florida, certified, and possess strong negotiation skills.
Which you definitely need.
For sure. They position themselves as forensic advocates who know the insurance company's dense playbook better than the insurer does.
Yeah.
It really reminds me of dealing with taxes.
Oh, how so?
Well, if the IRS flags you for an audit, you don't just invite the IRS auditor into your home, hand them your shoebox of receipts, and trust them to find every single deduction that benefits you.
Right, you'd never do that.
No.
Right.
You go out and hire a specialized tax attorney who understands the tax code to fight them on their own turf.
The tax attorney analogy is incredibly apt because it highlights the knowledge gap. But there is a crucial difference in the environment here.
What do you mean?
Alpha's marketing heavily leverages the sheer physical and emotional exhaustion of the victim.
Oh, wow, yeah. I didn't think about that.
If your kitchen just suffered a massive grease fire or a hurricane flooded your business, you are operating in a state of acute trauma.
Absolutely.
You're dealing with securing temporary housing, salvaging family heirlooms, managing lost income, and just navigating sheer emotional distress.
So you aren't exactly in the headspace to sit down, brew a cup of coffee, and parse through a 50-page policy document to argue the nuances of depreciation schedules.
Nobody is. And insurance companies know that. A standard policy document is notoriously dense.
It's basically written in another language.
Pretty much. It's filled with exclusions, endorsements, and complex formulas calculating actual cash value versus replacement cost value.
Which is overwhelming.
Totally. So Alpha sells relief from that specific burden. They use phrases like peace of mind and promise a hassle-free process.
Yeah, they even market their toll-free number, that's 866-782-1045, as a literal lifeline.
Right. They're telling you to focus on recovery while they take over the bureaucratic trench warfare. They're selling you cognitive offloading just as much as they're selling financial compensation.
But knowing the playbook is one thing, proving it actually works is another.
Very true.
And that's where Alpha's financial track record reveals just how wide the gap is between what insurers offer and what repairs actually cost.
The numbers are pretty intense.
We have to talk about the numbers on this site because they are frankly staggering. When you look at their case studies, a wild pattern emerges.
Yeah.
Whether it's tropical storm damage in a Punta Gorda neighborhood, specifically the Creekside neighborhood, or a broken drain line flooding multifamily property in South Beach.
Right.
In multiple cases, the initial offer from the insurance company is listed as under-deductible.
That phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Right. We all know what under-deductible means. The insurance company's internal adjuster looked at a flooded property and essentially said, well, the damage here is so minor, it doesn't even meet your minimum threshold for us to cut a check.
Basically saying this is entirely your financial problem.
Exactly. $0. But then Alpha gets involved, takes over the claim, and suddenly that Punta Gorda storm damage turns into a $115,000 settlement, including a brand new roof.
It's incredible.
And the South Beach water damage. Alpha secures $250,000. $225,000 on a claim that originally evaluated at $0.
And then there's the Pompano Beach Highlands kitchen fire.
Oh, yeah.
Original offer was $40,900. Alpha stepped in and got them $185,000.
It's insane.
They advertise these as astronomical percentage increases, like plus 115,000%, plus 225,000%. It is shock value marketing at its finest.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I have to push back on the reality of those numbers.
Okay.
How is it physically, mathematically, or legally possible to have a $250,000 discrepancy?
It's a huge gap.
I mean, Two supposedly trained professionals are looking at the exact same broken pipe, the exact same wet drywall. One says it costs $0, the other says it costs $225,000. Is someone lying here?
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. How does the system even allow for a gap that massive?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is less about overt fraud and entirely about the valuation models they are using.
Okay, walk me through that.
An insurance company's internal adjuster is often trained to act as a cost mitigation filter.
Meaning they want to keep the costs down.
Exactly. They are looking for surface damage and applying strict automated depreciation formulas.
I see.
If they see a water stain on the ceiling, their software might estimate the cost to scrape the popcorn texture, patch the drywall, and paint a 10-square-foot section. It is the cheapest possible Band-Aid.
But a public adjuster like Alpha approaches the property as a forensic reconstructionist.
Yes. They aren't looking at the paint. They're looking at the moisture wicking up behind the drywall. They're calculating the cost of the black mold that will inevitably grow in the subfloor.
Wow.
They understand matching laws, meaning if you replace half the custom cabinetry in a kitchen, you can't just leave the other half mismatched. The insurer must pay to replace the entire continuous sightline.
So the insurance adjuster is using an algorithm designed to isolate and minimize the damage, while the public adjuster is looking at the interconnected reality of how a building actually functions.
It is the gap between an automated spreadsheet and the granular physical reality of a home.
That makes perfect sense.
Insurance algorithms inherently assume the best case scenario for repair. They assume materials can be sourced cheaply, labor is standard, and damage is localized.
And Alpha's business model flips that.
Alpha's entire business model is ripping open the walls, figuratively and literally, to prove the algorithm wrong.
Yeah.
The homeowner might look at a denial and think, well, the expert says it's minor, I guess I'll just pay out of pocket.
Right.
Alpha proves that the initial expert evaluation is often just an opening bid in a high-stakes negotiation.
Which brings us to the sheer scale of the chaos they're managing. Because, this isn't just a boutique operation helping a handful of people navigate a tricky leak.
Not at all.
Let's look at their operational footprint. They're headquartered at 151 North Nob Hill Road in Plantation.
Right.
And they cover the entire volatile southeastern seaboard of Florida, from Miami-Dade up through Broward, Palm Beach, St. Lucie, Indian River, Martin, all the way to Brevard County.
It's a massive area.
We are talking about arguably one of the most perilous real estate markets in the world when it comes to weather events.
And their internal statistics reflect that volatility. They boast over 1,000 claims adjusted, working across 50 different insurance carriers,
Wow.
and securing over $50 million for their clients.
$50 million, that is huge.
The residential claims checklist reads like a catalog of disasters. Storms, hurricanes, water, flood, roof leaks, mold, fire, tornadoes, hail, vandalism, structural collapse.
But the commercial offerings are what really caught my eye.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because this is where you see the evolution of modern risk. Aside from physical damage to a warehouse or an office park, they handle business interruption claims.
Which makes sense.
Right, if a hurricane rips the roof off your restaurant, you can't see customers, so you lose revenue. The insurer owes you for that lost time.
Exactly.
But right below that, they list cyber claims for digital breaches.
That is surprising.
It is wild that a company whose bread and butter involves physical estimators wearing hard hats to inspect torn shingles is also dealing with hackers stealing data.
Yeah, it's a huge shift.
It's like hiring a massive muscle-bound physical bodyguard to stand outside your front door and then suddenly handing him a laptop and asking him to protect your digital identity and your crypto wallet.
That's a great way to put it.
It really shows how the very nature of property damage is shifting.
It's an unexpected pivot, but it emphasizes how commercial insurance policies actually function as highly complex, multi-layered financial instruments.
Yeah.
Alpha is positioning itself not just as a crew of construction estimators, but as forensic financial auditors.
But how does a property damage adjuster actually assess a cyber claim? I mean, they aren't ripping out wet drywall anymore. What are they looking at?
They are forensically auditing server downtime. When a ransomware attack paralyzes a company's digital infrastructure, proving the exact monetary value of that disruption is incredibly difficult.
I can imagine.
Alpha is auditing lost e-commerce shopping carts, the cost of specialized IT mitigation teams, and the long-term reputational damage affecting future sales.
Wow.
They apply the exact same aggressive valuation tactics to a digital space.
So the principles are the same.
Exactly. They are telling businesses, look, we speak the dense language of the insurer, whether the damage was caused by a Category 5 hurricane or a decentralized ransomware attack. It is all ultimately a fight over policy interpretation.
That makes total sense. They're translating the chaos, physical or digital, into the language of the policy.
Precisely.
So we've got the massive financial discrepancies, the sheer scale of operations across South Florida, and the evolution into cyber auditing. Let's pivot to the psychology of this pitch.
Let's do it.
Let's look at the human element, how Alpha's clients actually talk about them, and the fascinating legal realities of how this business is allowed to operate.
The testimonials on their site are highly revealing. They give us a clear window into the emotional state of the clients after the dust settles.
They really do. Looking at the highlighted Google reviews, there is a very intense, specific kind of praise for individual adjusters.
What do you mean?
Well, clients aren't just saying, hey, thanks for the money. They use deeply personal language.
Oh, like what?
One client, Michael Gok, praises an adjuster named David Berkovitz,
Right.
for being beyond knowledgeable and treating him like family.
Like family. Wow.
Right. Another client, Anna Hoffman, praises an adjuster named Anwar for securing far more money than anticipated. But in the same breath, they describe these individuals as tenacious.
It is the duality of the professional advocate.
So what does this all mean? It's a fascinating tightrope. To the victims whose lives have been upended, these adjusters are the calm in the storm. They are warm, comforting, and family-like.
Yeah.
But when they turn around to face the multi-billion-dollar insurance corporations, the clients praise them for being tenacious bulldogs. You want someone who can hold your hand while simultaneously throwing heavy punches on your behalf.
And notice how the clients begin to internalize Alpha's own messaging.
Yeah.
One review from a client named Jane Doe explicitly echoes the marketing copy found elsewhere on the site. She warns others, she says, the claims process is not easy, don't go it alone.
She sounds like a commercial.
She is using the exact vocabulary of the marketing team because she lived through the exact pain point that the marketing targets. The trauma bonds the client to the advocate.
But then right at the bottom of the page, past the millions of dollars in success stories and the glowing familial reviews, we hit the fine print.
Ah, the fine print.
And it is incredibly telling. Along with their state regulatory licenses, Florida PA license W086218 and firm license W810932, they include a legally mandated disclaimer.
Okay.
I'm going to read it directly. It says, this is a solicitation for business. If you have had a claim for an insured property loss or damage and you are satisfied with the payment by your insurer, you may disregard this advertisement.
This raises an important question. That disclaimer is required by Florida regulators, but it exposes the foundational ecosystem of the public adjusting industry. By legally stating if you are satisfied, disregard, it admits that this entire multi-million-dollar enterprise feeds exclusively on dissatisfaction.
It relies entirely on the premise that a vast demographic of policyholders will not be satisfied.
Exactly.
It's almost daring you to be satisfied. It connects right back to you, the person listening right now.
Yeah, think about it.
If your basement floods and your insurance company cuts you a check for $10,000, your initial reaction might be relief. The system worked.
You'd be happy initially.
But then you stumble across marketing material like Alpha's. You see another family in a similar house who went from an initial $0 offer to $250,000.
Right.
You look down at your $10,000 check and a thought creeps in.
Mhm.
Am I satisfied? Did I leave $50,000 on the table? Did the bouncer just trick me?
They are planting a highly effective seed of doubt. It completely reframes the relationship you have with your insurance provider.
It really does.
You transition from viewing the insurer as a benevolent partner in your recovery to viewing them as an adversary you have to aggressively outsmart.
Which explains why this industry thrives so intensely in places like South Florida. The sheer frequency of catastrophic weather events means there is a constant churning volume of claims.
Yeah.
And where there is massive volume, corporations naturally rely on automated processes, standardized pricing algorithms, and quick, low-friction settlements to clear their desks.
Exactly. And Alpha's entire pitch is that you are not a standardized model.
Right.
Your home is not a line item on a spreadsheet, and they will legally force the insurer to look at the granular, messy reality of your specific disaster.
It is an entire economy born out of friction. Public adjusters exist in the massive financial gap between what an insurance corporation's algorithms inherently want to pay out to protect shareholder value and the actual real-world cost of putting a shattered life back together.
That's incredibly well said.
Thank you. You know, even if you don't live in hurricane-prone South Florida, and even if you never have to deal with a flooded condo in Miami-Dade, this deep dive highlights a crucial, universal lesson.
It does.
It is the absolute necessity to advocate for yourself during any bureaucratic or financial crisis. You cannot simply accept the first offer handed down by an institution that is fundamentally designed to protect its own wealth.
Yeah, you really can't.
You always have to assume there is a bouncer standing at the net, and you need to know how to get past them.
That is the practical takeaway. But I want to leave you with a final lingering idea to ponder.
Okay, what is it?
We spent a lot of time today analyzing the extreme outliers. The cases where Alpha stepped onto a property and discovered $250,000 in hidden damages that the insurance company's initial assessment completely dismissed.
Right, the $0 offers.
Yeah. If a third-party adjuster can routinely walk into a home and find 6 figures of missed damage, well, what does that imply about the baseline algorithms that these massive insurance corporations are using to process millions of claims every single day?
Wow. Yeah, if it happens on these massive claims, it's happening on the small ones too.
Exactly. Are those initial underdeductible offers truly just the result of a rushed, overworked adjuster making an honest mistake? Or is chronically under-assessing damage a deliberate, calibrated feature of the system, relying heavily on the statistical probability that most people will simply accept the algorithm's math and never hire someone to double-check their work?
That is a chilling thought to end on. If you've been paying for that invisible safety net your entire life, it might be worth taking a really close look at exactly who is standing guard at the door. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.